Hey, this is Matt once again with about to another video, and this is a paid request for Vonte. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And Vonte, he wanted me to do a commentary on The Crow, City of Angels, the 1996 sequel to a very good film called The Crow. Just one of those films that's hard to watch because of what happened to Brandon Lee, but still a very good film. So let's get into it on this muddy, humid Texas day. So I'm pause the beginning. The version I'm watching is the 1 hour, 25 minute, and 50-second version. So I don't remember if that's the theatrical or the Blu-ray cut. I mean the director's cut or theatrical cut. It was the only cut I could find, to be perfectly honest, because I don't own the film, because I do not like the film. So again, hour, 25 minutes and 50 seconds. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Of course, we have the Miramax logo. Of course, this notorious Harvey Weinstein, and then his brother Bob Weinstein. Of course, the big story behind this, like a lot of Miramax and Dimension films, especially Dimension films, was that when the film was done, Harvey and Bob took the film, re-edited it. From what I read, they wanted to make it more like the first film, including the flashback structure. And the director, well, of course, was not a fan of his film being tampered. The director being Tim Pope, who had done music videos for bands like The Cure. And apparently he had such a bad experience, he never really directed much of any movies again. I mean, I don't know if he directed another movie, but if he did, not for a long time. I think mostly went back to just music videos and stuff. I mean, I know The Crow's based on a comic book. I know some people say you can make it into a franchise. I disagree. I mean, unless you have to be completely unique. But the thing with The Crow is that it becomes a formula that very easily gets, to me, old. Especially if not handled right. Here's a person. They and a loved one die. They are murdered, or they're this. They come back. They get revenge. Maybe in the right hands with the right director or script budget, maybe it could work. But on the flip side, you're always going to be compared to Brandon Lee's The Crow, and that's a very tall mountain to climb over. It casts too large of a shadow for anyone to overcome. And it's funny when I got the request, because Vonte wants me to do a review of this film too afterwards. One of the things he mentioned is how much the lead guy sucks compared to Brandon Lee. And that's true. Vincent Perez is, to me, one of the worst parts of this film. I think Vincent Perez sucks. He's terrible in this. I don't think he's that much of an actor. His thick accent, at times it's hard for me to understand what the hell he's saying. I don't think he's got much of charisma. I know he was in Queen of the Damned, among other stuff. I think this guy was terrible. Hell, I would take Eric Mabius from the third one over this guy. I don't know about Edward Furlong. I mean, he was pretty bad in the fourth one, but... So now we have a similar opening to The Crow. To be fair, some decent camera work. But, you know, having a city and the way we're looking over the whole city with narration happening. I hate the color scheme. I know they did this, well, probably to not be a copy of the original, but I hate the yellow, piss yellow color scheme. So now we have this gang killing a father and son instead of boyfriend girlfriend. Now here we have Mia Kirshner playing Sarah, who's the little girl in the first movie. I guess, how do we make this a sequel? Well, really one of the few characters we could follow is Sarah, that character. Although, I don't remember really having much impact in this film, and I guess other than exposition, you have someone who knows what the Crow is, but... I mean, I do remember having some decent songs on the soundtrack. It's interesting that A.D. Pop is one of the villains. I mean, it's weird to say, okay, it's an overlong music video, but it makes sense. He's got to be a video director and so forth, but... I just looked at this film and I go, why don't I just watch the first Crow film? I did pretty much the same story, but with an actor that has more of a presence and more of a lead star quality to him. So it's like, okay, do I want to watch The Crow, or do I want to watch a weaker version of The Crow? Like, what does this film offer that you did not get in The Crow, the first film? And that's people doing some work outside. You want to know what that noise is? Maybe they'll drop a boulder on here and make me stop watching this. I mean, I know some of my friends like the film. Fabio, the Italian Stallion 51, he likes the film. That's fine, to each their own. We're not all going to like the same movies. But again, I don't really see much other than maybe a couple songs. But I think even the first film had a better soundtrack. Again, I never liked this yellow filter, like yellow look. And a couple other films have done this. It just, to me, it's such an ugly aesthetic. Like the air is covered with this gaseous piss yellow, maybe hint of green, whatever case. Now I like this actor, Richard Brooks, who plays Judah Earl. I do like him. He was Peter Bert's football buddy in Shocker. He was a bounty hunter in the show Firefly. He was on the short-lived TV show called G vs. E, also known as Good vs. Evil, with Clayton Rohner. This character just did nothing for me, though. I don't even think it's the actor's fault. I think just the way he was directed, it had to be very monotone. The words he was given to say. Just the way he was told to act. Then why did the sad sack betray me? It's like, I don't know if he's trying to be Shakespearean or what he's trying to go for. And then when you look at the previous film and you see Michael Wincott and Tony Todd, it just felt much more natural in their performances and their acting. So you destroy 80 T's of product without my consent. Again, I'm sitting there going, just have Richard Brooks act like he naturally would in other films. But just this kind of stasis of his voice, it's not natural. It comes off as phony. And maybe it's like, if he talks like this, supposedly it's going to be make him much more intelligent or intimidating. I don't think it works at all. I think that person with the video camera and the hair like he's, from Blade Runner or something. I think the guy with the video camera might have been Thomas Jane. Don't quote me on it. It's been forever since I've seen this film, so sorry if I get some factoids wrong. I know some guy got mad because I did a commentary for Heat years ago and I got a few factoids wrong. So. It's also kind of depressing, like, if you at all like the character of Sarah in The Crow, it's kind of depressing to see where her life led to. Where, okay, now she's living in another rundown crap city. She really doesn't have any loved ones. She, Ernie Hudson's character, I don't know if he died or if she moved to another city and he's there or something. She didn't even marry, she didn't have kids, and then by the end she dies. This life is just a dream on the way to death. Not Peachy. You like that? I don't. So I don't know what the original cut was like. I guess maybe it was more linear. And again, for what I understand, the criticisms I say about the film that is too similar to the first film, from what I read up, that was more of Harvey and Bob Weinstein. Like, it tried to be different, but then they're like, no, make it like the first one, so re-edited it. But at the same time, I'm just talking about like the plot, the story. Again, you kind of sitting there going, well, even in those terms, what makes it so different compared to the first one? That's why I'm sitting here going, I don't know if this really needed a franchise. When Brandon Lee died, the franchise kind of died afterward. And I think without Brandon Lee, a lot of people just, not all, but a lot of people just lost interest in this franchise altogether. Because think about it, ever since, there's never been a hit Crow film. Not this one, not Salvation, not Wicked Prayer, and I don't think the new one will be a hit either. There's a reason why it got delayed. Because they knew the other movies would beat the hell out of it. So looking at some trivia, apparently an idea was to have a female Crow and have it be Sarah. James O'Barr created the comic book, tried to write a script himself. All I could think about was his deceased friend Brandon Lee. He eventually couldn't do it. Tim Pope and David S. Goyer apparently went to Crow message boards and asked the fans what they would and would not like in a sequel. They wanted to be respectful of Brandon Lee's death and tell its own story. So in other words, not recast Eric Draven. And David S. Goyer, he has written scripts to films that were really good. I mean, Dark City, Blade, Blade 2. But, I mean, he also helped write the script to Terminator Dark Fate, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, Jumper. I mean, that's the reaction you usually have when someone floats up and over the water, the ocean. You know, that's usually the reaction you have. Huh. It's interesting. But yeah, Visit Perez, like, this guy just does absolutely nothing for me. He just, again, lack of charisma, lack of star quality, star power. With the hair, it's like they're trying to have him look a bit like Brandon Lee with the hair and the kind of the. Even if you like have my glasses off, his face kind of looks like Brandon Lee with my glasses off. It's just like maybe they're going to try to have someone that kind of looks like him, but not really. And just I think his acting was very problematic, at least to me. And they just have like random people in gimp suits tied up. And the facility looks like an old like old cathedral or something. It's also interesting that they need like, okay, here's a group of bad guys. We need an Asian lady in here because we had like Baileen in the first one, so we have another Asian lady in this group as well. Oh yeah, the video game Gray Matter and video game publisher Acclaim released a movie time video game called The Crow City of Angels on PlayStation, Sega Saturn. Just absolutely awful, awful game. Sarah still owns Gabriel the cat, has Air's old fool mask, and wears Shelley's wedding ring. John Bon Jovi auditioned for the lead role. Theatrical trailer shows some deleted scenes and extra shots. Extra shot of Ash, Vincent Perez walking towards Curve after shooting his motorcycle and blowing it up. A couple of deleted scenes from the fight scene between Ash and Kaylee, showing Kaylee swinging something on Ash. Shadow of the giant crow on the wall morphing into Ash. Originally, this scene happened right after Ash throws Kaylee out the window. Kissing Sarah after she died. Close up of Sarah's ring. Originally, Ash was sitting in the church looking at it. Let's see. In the original script, Ash and Danny were brothers. So they changed that in this. This film had a budget around $13 million. The ending of the film used in the final cut is not the one originally intended by the director. The ending originally intended by the director is a downer ending. It has a pause during the final battle after the crow has been killed, which greatly weakens Ash. Danny appears to him in a vision and tells him that if he doesn't die now, he will never be able to again. Ash refuses, returns to life to save Sarah. However, Sarah is then sadly killed by Judah. As she is dying, she gives Ash Aerith's wedding ring, and they declare their love for each other. Eret then receives a heroic second wind and uses a murder of crows to devour Judah. The film then ends with Ash as an immortal wandering the earth, unable to die and reunite in the afterlife with Danny and Sarah. The second ending, created by Harvey Weinstein, is somewhat more optimistic. The crow still dies, but Ash does not receive a vision from Danny. Sarah also dies the same way, and after Ash is able to defeat Judah, he's able to peacefully cross over in the afterlife with Sarah and Danny. As for me, it's hard to comment on this film because, yes, granted, a chunk of it because of how Harvey and Bob Weinstein re-edited it, but I'm just looking at the material itself and I'm still seeing like all the elements of the previous Crow film. A guy was killed and their loved one was killed. They come back. They're in a bit of anguish. They are suffering. They want revenge on the people who perpetrated it. And the way it's structured in this cut, the flashbacks, similar to the flashbacks in the first film, which I guess was not the original intention. Sarah just seems really forced in here to just have some actual connection with the first movie, some continuity with the first movie. I would say just what kind of luck she has, or what kind of fate that of all the times two people she knows, or meets, I should say, or comes into contact with, that happens to become the Crow. At the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, she almost has as worse luck as John McClane. The way I look at Vincent Perez, I know this is mean, but the way I look at him is he's a Wish version of Antonio Banderas. Hey, you want Antonio Banderas? Sure, I'll get him off of Wish. Wish.com. And then, oh, here's Vincent Perez. He's a discount Antonio Banderas. Like Antonio Banderas. I mean, he had been in Desperado, but I'm not saying it would have made the film good, but it would have made the film much better to have someone like Antonio Banderas in this. But this is around the time after Desperado he was doing films. I think a little after he did like Assassins with Sylvester Stallone, among other movies. I like to know, like, I guess other than John Bon Jovi, like, who else was up for this role? Like Thomas Jane, you got Thomas Jane in the cast. Sure, have her draw on him. Why not? He's like, he should be like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you drawing on me? I'm not a coloring book. Why are you drawing on my face? Who are you? What's going on? Stop drawing on me, lady. And then for some reason these two fall in love with each other. I'm like, okay. I guess maybe when you die, maybe you come back, you're horny. Just, I need to get laid. So. Like I said, there's a couple of songs I like. Like this song I don't mind. Like this I don't mind this song. I got something for you. Got something for you. Sorry, I'm listening to the song. Well. It was a song that's like, when will you learn? But I don't mind that song. think the other song I didn't mind, what was the name of it? Was it was like Black Car Woman or something like that. Can't remember it. Even the motorcycle bit's a bit too shaky at times in the close up, doing like this. Damn, we'll spill my soda. We were shaking so much, we're shaking the earth and shaking my damn soda off my desk. Damn. I mean, I guess the one good thing I'll say is this is a short film. Like I said, I like some of the songs, and it's a short movie at least. Like it's only an hour and 20-some minutes long. Now, I'm sure that wasn't the intention. I'm sure there was a lot of stuff deleted, re-edited, taken out, and I don't know how long it originally was supposed to be. Because the director's cut isn't really the director's cut. That's why he didn't do a commentary for it. Because, like, that's not my... The director's cut, they just put it on there for marketing. And it's like, well, it's not really directed because he had no involvement in it. And I think, like, some of these, like... I don't know. The face. I'm like, what the hell did he say? Did the cops see? Oh, the corpse. Did the cops see the... I'm like, God, just discount Antonio Banderas. It just sucks. In my opinion. If people like him, that's fine. I just think he just has such blasé delivery and his thicker accent. And again, at times I can't understand each, every word that he says. Maybe a chunk of the words that he says. And yeah, it's like, okay, in wide shots, he looks a bit like Brandon Lee. I'm like, as much as they said they didn't want it to be like the first Crow, I would bet that's one of the reasons he was hired. Because they look at wide shots, they go, oh, he kind of looks like Brandon Lee. And he does, with the hair, the color of the hair, some of the face structure. So when the film came out, it made $9 million in its opening weekend, Labor Day weekend. Final U.S. Canadian gross was $17.9 million. The Crow City of Angels is a sloppy pretender that captures neither the mood nor energy of the original. I agree. The fun sense. I don't know how else to describe it. Just other than it sucks. It just. I mean, I just see this stuff with the cards and stuff. Is like. Even when he's like this look on his face, just. And we have another building exploding, just like when Brandon Lee had the thing and shot the shotgun with the rings in it, and then the shop exploded, only this building explodes. So, not the first one, because the first one was when Brandon Lee had the knife and killed a guy, but it's like, okay, one of the deaths, kill a guy, you blow up a building. Now, I don't know how these palm trees are blowing up, because the crow, the actual crow, does he have, like, missiles dropping from his claws? Scud missiles or something? That'd be crazy if the little crow itself, I got a bunch of missiles, I got a bunch of bombs, bitch. Again, why... I would say, did that happen in the first, but if it's trying to be different. But, I mean, what's the explanation of that? I mean, if you're trying to follow the rules of the first Crow film, where in those rules is it, I'm going to make these random palm trees explode? Okay, if you don't add something, then maybe some kind of explanation, something else as to what the deal of it was. But I guess not, I don't know. Just to show how weird these people are, just women in jumpsuits and wax. And the lead guy, I guess you say the lead bad guy likes doing it because he likes seeing pain and people in pain. And it's his fixation, I guess. He did say before that he likes, pain, but I try to do like indie pop in this, I will say. Why the fuck you listen to her? I mean, indie pop is not known as an actor, of course. It was much more of a singer. I just remember like his was Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare he was in. Well, I know his song was in it. No, Alice Cooper was in the movie, but I think he did a song for the end. Then you do Why Was I Born? Like this scene here with indie pop is like, I read up that at one point he was up for the character Fun Boy in the first Crow, and I can see why, because this guy seems like a better fit as a villain. Like this scene here is like the first time I saw a villain in this seem like just an interesting personality. Like that bit there with his finger. He's so much more of an interesting villain than Richard Brooks' character. Just from little details like that, and I honestly think his acting is better in this compared to Richard Brooks and the other people. Even that bit there is like he just goes, just touches. I don't even know if that was in the script or it's just like, I'll do something about this. And instead of leaving, I'll just touch this guy's nose like a honk. That song on the radio, that's the one I was thinking. I can't think of the name, but I know I've heard that song before. I know that one guy who owns that shop. I know I've seen him in other stuff before. I can't remember where though. But I swear I've seen him before in other stuff. But yet I cannot remember. Can I remember? That's who he was. The guy who owns that shop. He was in Split Second. That's right. He's the one talking to Rutger Hauer. You must be scintillating in all that blood. I think he was like in that club. He had the dog. You must be scintillating in that blood. That's what it was. He was in Split Second. No wonder I recognized him. Yeah, that's Thomas Jane right there. Very young Thomas Jane. Trying to get into the business, taking whatever role he can. He had the bit role in Nemesis and this film. Very brief role in the Face Off after this. Probably one of the first substantial roles he had was the film Thursday, which he starred in with Aaron Eckhart. And then he was in like Deep Blue Sea in 1999 was probably the first time the mainstream saw him, and he was good in Deep Blue Sea. Most people remember from The Punisher 2004, which I saw in the theater. Really enjoyed that. Thought he had a good time. I mean, I really had a good time watching that film. The Punisher. Oh yeah. And Sally Thomas, there you go, crashing through the glass and through the wall there. Of course, like the previous film, he's not going to be stopped by one close saw about two close die. I can't just his accent, his dialogue delivery. I can't say, maybe you say he's trying his best, but he's just not right for. He's not right for this kind of role. He's not right for leading man. I don't think he has the presence or charisma, especially for this kind of role. Sorry, now I'm just watching the film. Stars and director decides to shake the camera all around. See, my tone is like kind of how I feel about the film. Just kind of this boredom, meh tone to the whole proceedings. Like once a while, there's a decent camera, like that from outside, crane in, push into the club, following behind Iggy Pop. That's a decent camera movement. Like that's a decent shot. Iggy Pop, some of the songs. There you go. Had his eyes gouged out and sat up like that. The origami thing of the crow. I know this sounds stupid. I swear that didn't sound like his voice on the phone. I guess it was, but I'm like, was that his damn voice on the phone? Maybe I guess it was, but it didn't sound like it, at least to me. I don't know. I'm just going deaf. I don't know. But I mean, since Thomas Jane's no longer in the movie, he didn't really have much to do in the film. It's kind of like him holding the camera, and then that one scene there. That's it. It's sad that after like The Punisher 2004, he did films, but it's just never up to par. I mean, The Mist, I know people like that film. I was not a fan of it. The Moon Chronicles, really lame, cheap looking direct to video film. David Hill Malone, I do like, but I think the beginning is the best part of it. He had a cameo in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. He did that short film, Punisher Dirty Laundry. I wish we had gotten a sequel with The Punisher with Thomas Jane in the lead. And just a lot like films, to be fair, I've never heard of. Usually in supporting roles. Like White Bird in a Blizzard. Reach Me, which was there. And crap like Vice with Bruce Willis. Into the Grizzly Maze was very disappointing, considering the cast involved. Standoff was decent with him and Lawrence Fishburne. Did not mind that. 1922, he gave a good performance that's based on a Stephen King story. He was in The Predator as one of the group. He's got Tourette's syndrome. That was an embarrassing role in an embarrassing film. Run, Hide, Fight. He was decent as the dad of the lead girl. He was decent in that film. I don't mind that film for what it is. And then like bit roles and like Apache Junction, The Last Son. Some film called Warning. Vendetta, which had Mike Tyson and Bruce Willis in it. Bit role in Murder at Yellowstone City. Slayers. One Ranger, that was a very disappointing film. That was a disappointing as hell movie. That's a film I thought was going to be a lot better than it was. And Thomas Jane was not the problem. That's the saddest thing. It was just the way, like, lack of action, lack of thrills, lack of pacing, which is too bad. So you have Vincent Perez taught to a little girl, just like Brantley taught to a little girl in the first movie. Okay. Now with guns and knives, then how am I going to stop them? Some films on the soundtrack. Here we go. I remember having this soundtrack back in the day. Gold Dust Woman by the band Hole, which had Courtney Love in it, singing the song. That was the song I was there, Gold Dust Woman. I remember liking that song. I'm Your Booty Man from White Zombie. I'm your booty man, that's what I am. I'm your booty man, booty man. You also have bands like Filter, Bush, Korn, Deftones, which I think are in the movie, AD Pop. Again, I don't think it's as good of a soundtrack as the first one, but there's a couple decent songs on there. That's what I mean. Like, we're 44 minutes in. We're more than halfway through the film, and if you watch it, you're sitting there going, it just seems like such a lackluster. I just think, like, even if the director did everything he wanted, got everything he got, Harvey and Bob did not mess with it. I mean, maybe unless maybe there's just a lot of footage cut out, and you put all that back in, it would make it seem like it's a more unique movie. But like I said, I think any sequel to The Crow is going to be compared with the first, and it's going to lose that comparison. And I guess some people go, well, why can't it be a franchise like Batman and Superman and all these other movies that get franchises? And you have a different person be a crow, and you have a similar situation where they want to get revenge, but then you play off with different action scenes, different bad guys, different kills, different this and that. I mean, we're fine with slasher films that have franchises, and here's Freddy Krueger coming back, and he kills a different set of kids, or Jason Voorhees comes back, or Michael Myers comes back. And it's like, I get that, but at the same time, I don't know. I do get that sentiment, but I don't think it works for every bit of a character, every motif, and not everything needs to be a franchise. Maybe there's other comic books that give such a unique spin. They go, yeah, they should have done that, but yeah, this guy here tied to the chair, he was in Split Second. His head stapled to his what? Your head stapled to my what? The seed? What? Man. Like I said, AD Pop is. And that's right, this girl here, Toy Train, she was the Yellow Ranger in Power Rangers. I didn't grow with Power Rangers like other people did, but I forgot that. She was the Yellow Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Vietnamese actress. Sadly, she passed away 2001. She left Power Rangers in the middle of the second season along with fellow cast members Austin St. John and Walter Emmanuel Jones due to contractual and payment disputes. They were receiving non-union pay, $60,000 per year without any compensation for merchandising for the show, which was estimated to be worth $1 billion. They requested more compensation and union recognition. I don't blame them. I mean, you have this show that's getting $1 billion. 3 year stars are going, hey, we're getting like 60,000 a year, and I mean, you guys are getting like so much more money. Like, can't we have a little bit more? I mean, I don't blame them. I don't think that's being greedy. I think that's being like they're the stars of the show. I mean, that's ridiculous that they didn't do that. It's ridiculous. In 2001, she was traveling with her friend Angela Rockwood. They were passengers in a car traveling on Interstate 5 between San Jose and Los Angeles. The driver, another bridesmaid named Stefana de la Cruz, struck some loose gravel and a groove along the side of the road, lost control of the vehicle. The car swiveled violently across the road before hitting the roadside rock face, flipping several times before hitting the safety rail and plunging over the bank and into a second rock face. Rockwood was thrown 35 feet out of the car and survived, but her spinal cord was severed and she was rendered quadriplegic. The driver also survived the crash. Train suffered internal injuries. Helicopter took her, but she died while in transit at the age of 27. So I guess maybe the original cut, like all this stuff that these guys were doing, all this stuff that they were saying, shooting at Iggy Pop, each one getting their words, their stuff in. This would be shown sequentially. So it'd probably be at least 20, 25. You would think at least 20 some minutes before you get into him being resurrected. And Glenn Revell did do the music. And here you have this similar music, same music that was in the first one. Which the Crow, I mean, is a great store. So of course they want to have some of the same stuff in there. But at the same time, again, you kind of want to, if you want to be your own entity. Like I said, how much of it is the director, how much of this is Harvey and Bob Weinstein. That's the thing, we're like 52 minutes in. We have 33 minutes left. That doesn't include the end credits. And then you're sitting here, you watch this, you're sitting there going, why don't I just watch the first Crow film? Has more intense action sequences. You have a guy that knows martial arts, so you could incorporate that into action sequences. The aesthetic, I think, is more pleasing instead of this yellow, sickly, just disgusting yellow aesthetic. Sarah is a nothing character. She's just there to kind of stare. The villains, other than Iggy Pop, the other villains don't really have much of personality. At least not to me. Especially not Richard Brooks or and such. Eddie and Vincent Perez, I just don't think he cuts it. Do you know how to fight? Do you know how to die? I guess we'll find out. I read somewhere that at one point it's going to be like a sword fight, but Toy Train said no. That'd be a bit more of a martial arts fight. Playing damn footsie hot potato with this thing. What, you Steven Seagal trying to do a fight scene sitting down? Get up. I would say, I mean, if people like the film, that's fine, but I would ask, like, what does this film offer you? Like, what does this film offer to people who like it? Can you really say you're mesmerized by the action sequences? Can you really say that Vincent Perez did such a wonderful job? Is really the look of the film with all the yellow? Maybe they're big fans of yellow. I don't know. I mean, that fight scene didn't seem much. I'm like, okay, they're going back and forth. There's a little bat flip, throws her against the wall. Yeah, doesn't he like toss her out the window? Yeah, I think so. So then did he just turn and look at the camera? I think so. Obviously, he was told to do that. Come on, bird. You're not gonna blow up more shit. What is it, Jacob's Ladder? All the fast moving. And yeah, obviously try to sell more of the City of Angels decrepit state with all the sexual deviance and such. With this slow mo that I do not like when they use the slow mo in films, the more herky jerky slow mo, more choppy slow mo. I just don't like that look. Sometimes there could be things I could deal with it, but it's not my favorite use of it's not my favorite type of slow mo. I mean, I get the showcasing the environment to make it at least seem different from the first. This type of environment, I don't think it's enough to save the film. I mean, if people say they like the film because of Iggy Pop, I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, I guess I would be mad if Iggy Pop kissed me too. If Iggy Pop kissed me on the lips, I'd be pissed too. Come back from the grave and have some. That person tied up behind him probably wishing he wasn't tied up now. Just, you would think those shells would go right through him. To the guy behind him. Well, I guess that the guy's still alive. Ain't that guy lucky? So what have we had for kills so far? We've had the plates blowing up. We've had Thomas Jane getting his eyes gouged in the peeping Tom booth. We've had the little fight with the yellow Power Ranger. I'm saying yellow as in had the yellow suit, not the race thing. Some people twist your words around. Which I know that was the thing with Power is, oh, you have the Asian lady in a yellow suit, and you have the black guy in a black suit. Yeah, I know, I know. I swear I know I'm missing someone. Anyway. So, Iggy Pop. So we got this motorcycle chase. Well, the way it's directed, like, I don't know. It's not the most visually pleasing in terms of direction. It's like, here's up close to the back of the bike shaking. Then when he crashes through Vincent Perez from the top, it's kind of like up close, going towards the camera. And just, if someone really took a motorcycle, went crashed through, should have been like wider shots, maybe, to see the spectacle or great work by the stunt guy. Because if a stunt guy did that, then they hit all of his best work. If this is what I remember correctly, then this might be like the best death. Yeah, because he has like the shotgun and does he like ride towards him and the motorcycle blows up? Which I would say if that then this is like the best death of it. Let's say Iggy Pop, he might have been the lead villain. Honestly, Iggy Pop should have been the lead villain. This drug crazed lunatic, playful. Now everything's blue, green. Oh yeah, because the light's up there. What do I say? Use the shotgun. Never ride towards a guy with a shotgun. It's never going to end well. I didn't mind that motorcycle explosion. Chunk of digital manipulation there to go through the fire. Yeah, sure, open your mouth. Says you kiss me on the lip, but don't kiss you on the forehead. How you like them apples? But I guess, to talk a bit, I mean, as he's dragging Iggy Pop here, says he can barely move now, dragging him into the water here. Yeah, the Crow Salvation, which went direct to video. I don't think Eric Mabius did the most horrible job. I would say I liked him more than this guy. But I mean, you could tell they had a limited budget because that's why I went direct to video. At least it looked like that. And Fred Ward, it was cool to see him in there, but I would say on the flip side, you could tell that at least this film tried to have a bit more style compared to the third one. The third one, I don't know, felt like an overlong episode of a TV show or something. And the Troll Wicked Prayer, I would say, is the worst of the four. I think you're correct. That's an interesting idea to have the rose petals, and lo and behold, it forms the shape of a crow around a Depop. I mean, he's not dead yet, so who knows? Maybe someone comes in and saves him, and he recuperates and lives another day. Who knows? Obviously, the idea is that he's going to die of his wounds, but I'm just saying you don't see him die. You technically don't see him die. You get the idea he's going to die, but he didn't sink, he didn't do any of that, so there you go. But yeah, The Crow Wicked Prayer was just a very embarrassing movie. Edward Furlong as the Crow. This is what Edward Furlong, he just was not the choice for this role. And by the way, when I said earlier, oh, well, I know that wasn't Toy Tran as the blind lady. I'm just saying, oh, they have another Asian lady just like Bylene first. She was in the scene when I said that, but I just meant within the group. Obviously, this blind lady's a different character. Just we're gonna have someone explain what the crow is and what it can do, so we'd have this third ad happen. Well, I gotta say, the crow is always an idiot. The crow always gets so close to things, and it's like, back off, dude. Just back off. Perch on another building and watch from there. I think this is the Deftones, I believe. And the Day of the Dead festival. Which, look at all those people. They definitely got some production value here in this wide shot. Definitely showcase some production value here. But The Cold Richter Prayer was just a very embarrassing movie. David Boreanaz was probably the best part of the film. And honestly, you kind of sitting there going, why did you not just cast this guy as the Crow? I think Dennis Hopper was in it, and I remember at first thinking it was like one of the last films he did. No, he did like a dozen films afterward, but again, the Crow's so stupid. Like, he gets himself across so easily. Like, why did you have to get so close? You're a bird. You can fly. You idiot. The Crow is such a moron in these movies. But it's like you have this character that's pretty much immortal, impossible to kill, so you always have to find a way to get the Crow damaged, hurt, stabbed, whatever. Because that's like an idiot. You need to get better crows that have more common sense. Damn crows. Join the union. Get the hell out of Dodge. Shit. Because I vaguely remember what happens here. The crow gets killed. Richard Brooks drinks the blood. He has the power of the crow. Which, okay, that's a bit different than the first film. But that just leads to him just beating the hell out of Vincent Perez over and over and over again. Sarah tries to help. Eventually gets stabbed. But whatever happens, and then the crow finally does something. I think he like gets some murder of crows to eat him up, which I'm saying they're going, why the hell didn't they do that earlier? I mean, you would think with how much agility the crow usually has, he'd be able to get up this building quicker and stuff, or just go through. break through the damn door and climb up or other stuff. It's like, well, we can't have him get there too quickly, so we'd have to find other ways to do it. You think this crow, maybe you try biting the guy? You have this thing called a beak? Try biting the guy. What do you think he's going to do? Give you a happy ending? Massage? What do you think this is? A Thai massage parlor? He's just slapping the crow's head. What the hell? I just by the point now he's stabbed the wings. But like before he stabbed the wings is like fight back or something, man. Stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. Or there goes one wing. Here goes the other one. Not too bad of a animatronic, whatever they use for the crow when they stab the wings. Is that we gotta find some way, we gotta find some kryptonite for him. But I didn't like the previous one. You take the crow, you mess with the crow, you screw with the crow so that it's more mortal, so you actually hurt. And then the bad guy's beating up the crow and he's in danger and all this other stuff happening. Wow, what performance by Mia Kirshner. Just probably think you're like, that stupid crow. Why'd you get so close, you idiot? Get so close, you moron. And the rest of, 14 minutes is pretty much just him getting the crap beat out of him getting the crap beat out of him. And, Sarah helps, Sarah gets stabbed, Sarah dies. Kills Richard Brooks, etc. Would have been funny if he drank the blood and it did nothing. He just assumed it would do something. Or he drinks the blood but is like poisoned. Like he drinks the blood and then his head blows up or something. Like Belloc and Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'll be honest, I don't even need headphones for this because there's really not much of dialogue left. It's pretty much... we have 13 minutes left of the movie with the end credits. There's the little kid. The kid's like, I don't want to watch this movie. It's too boring. I'm going to walk away. The ghost, your movie's bad when the ghost kid is like, I ain't having this. I'm going back to the afterlife. I don't want to stay here for your movie. Even the kid knows how bad the movie is. I know there's a fan base for this. I know there's a fan base for this. There is a cult following for this movie. It gets a... What was it? Oh, 4.6. I thought it was higher. I sincerely thought the IMDb rating was higher. 4.6? Okay, that makes more sense to me. But I do know there's a cult following for this movie. I'm just not the audience for it. God, Vincent Perez he just does not have the star quality to this, at least in my opinion, at least to me, man. Just doesn't have it. Doesn't have it for me. So now Richard Brooks is taking him and dragging him around. Everyone's just watching. They're enjoying their Day of the Dead festival. Look at all these dicks just throwing stuff at him. Like, you see this guy being dragged and hung, and they're just having their party. I guess I should have put the headphones on because now I'm trying to remember why this blind girl just turned on Richard Brooks' character. That was helping Richard Brooks the whole time. That's my fault. That way I could hear and understand why is this blind girl like turning on Richard Brooks now? She let Sarah go and gave her the knife. I'm like, you helped Richard Brooks in the first place. Damn. Maybe she knew. Oh no, I'm screwed. I'm switching sides. I'm switching sides. I just think about the finale. I mean, again, I know. What are you asking for? The same movie or different movie? Yeah, I did it. It's just think of the finale of the previous one. How exciting it was. You had that big gun battle. Was it the Thrill Kill Cult? That song. And this is just I did. You don't want to just copy it. Why did she run towards him? She sees there's a knife right here. What did she think she was gonna do? Hug him to death? You see that there's a knife right here, so I'm gonna run towards it. Idiot. Like, I see there's a knife, you're holding it right here. I'm gonna. What do you think we're gonna do? A dive bomb? What do you think this is? AEW? And then he just pushes Richard Brooks into the pole to be impaled. I think this is where he calls the crows. Because now he can do that. Even though, I mean, of course, your question is like, why didn't he do this before? I mean, the idea of having like a good crow versus a bad crow that could make things intriguing. But the fact it comes so late in the game, and then you have your other characters so weak, and then I mean, I guess as you say, this is at least a different type of death for the bad guy, but you get some really awkward special effects here. Like, look at the pipe. Like, the pipe at times, like, look at the pipe that's through him. When you rewatch this scene, just look at the pipe. Like, sometimes it's, like, out of his body, and it's in his body, and sometimes it's out of his body, and it's like a dissolve. It's such awful. Like, I guess we can't really have a guy get his body pecked away. Maybe they filmed it that way and they cut it out and they refilmed it. Maybe that's what happened. That could have been the case. I'm not an expert on the film. But I mean, like, if you had a practical where it's like crows are pecking at him and taking this piece of skin and this piece of skin, that would have been much more like grisly, satisfying death for your main villain. And Sarah dies. That's great if you like the character in the first. And I barely bought they even had a relationship. I mean, she painted his face for a bit. But I don't really buy they have this big love story together. So yeah, I guess the original ending was that he'd be walking to Earth immortal. But then they put this here and they changed it where he dies peacefully and then afterlife and all that jazz. That's another thing. I mean, I don't know. You compare it. Do you want the same? Do you not want the same? That's a tough thing with sequels. There's stuff that you reminds you of the first one, but then like, okay, if you want something different, but you just don't think the difference was done that well or done that satisfying. And because it wasn't done that satisfying, then you just think of the previous and what it's missing compared to that. This is some really awkward special effects here. So yeah, this is where it's supposed to seem like he's back in the afterlife. So again, him riding a motorcycle was probably him riding out of the city to walk the earth. Like he was teen for kung fu. Although if you're in the afterlife, why is Sarah not there? Because that's not the original intention. Actually, let me see. What's the song at the end here, if anything? Uh, Gold Dust Woman. Well, there you go. At the very least, it's a short film. At the very least, it's a short movie. But yeah, this film. If people enjoy the film, that's fine. I know. Again, I know I have friends who enjoy it. To me, though, it just felt like such a lackluster version of the first Troll film, and it wouldn't get much, whole lot better throughout. And this new one with Bill Skarsgård, I think it's going to come and go, and it's not going to be remembered, because how many times do you have to make a film that bombs before you realize maybe this franchise is not financial success, financial accountability as we seem to think? This film, I don't care for the aesthetic of the yellow piss color filter stuff. I don't care. Okay, positives. Iggy Pop, he tried to have fun with the role. He was, I thought, the most interesting character in the movie. Some of the songs, Gold Dust Woman, I'm Your Boogie Man, I don't mind some of the songs. Some of the camera work, kind of similar to what you had in the first Troll film. The death scene with Iggy Pop, the motorcycle explosion, wasn't too shabby. Although I think more wide shots would have helped that scene in terms of when the motorcycle blows up. In fact, instead they did like some more close-ups. But Vincent Perez, he has no charisma. He has no star pop presence or prowess. He just sucks. He's the Wish.com version of Antonio Banderas. Mia Kircher, Sarah, really pretty pointless, pretty useless. Most of her performance just staring wide-eyed at stuff. Richard Burtz I liked as an actor, but this is one of his weaker performances. He was told to talk in a certain way to make them be more sophisticated or more. But no, it's like I think it would have been better if he was able to be more natural, like he's been in other movies. Toy Train, rest in peace. I mean, she didn't really do much for me though. Thomas Jane, kind of wasted, and I mean, this is before he was famous, but I mean, other than holding a video camera, he only has really one scene, and that's it. The action scenes, I thought was rather lacking. They don't really have as much of the entertaining, exciting thrills. Other stuff just felt like a lackluster version of the first movie. And that's what the whole movie just feels like. It's like, okay, why do I need to watch this film? Why don't I just watch the first film that was done with more style, even more style, more excitement, with a more commanding lead performance, with a better soundtrack, more songs I like, even levity like Ernie Hudson, his character, the levity he brings to the proceedings, much more eye-catching palette with the color schemes and the way it looks instead of that sickly yellow color. It's just going to come off as a lackluster version of the first movie, which is what it did. So you sit there and go, okay, I'm watching Almost the same film, but done worse. So I just don't see the appeal of watching this when you just have the first one. And like, what other than, unless you want to have fun with 80 pop, which I did see that, but just watch a couple of scenes in this state of affairs. Watch them on YouTube. But other than that, thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks once again, Vonte. I know you wanted me to do a review of this. So I'll do that afterward. So we'll see you guys later. Bye bye for now.